Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a bubbling, hissing, spitting pool of molten lava. The ground beneath your feet trembles and shakes, and you can feel the heat radiating off the surface. This is the kind of scene that Yellowstone is known for, a place where the raw power of nature is on full display. But what if we told you that there's more to this landscape than meets the eye? What if we told you that scientists have recently discovered a clue that could point to a violent eruption in the future? The clue in question is helium gas, and not just any helium gas, but ancient helium gas that has been trapped beneath the Earth's surface for millions of years. This discovery has scientists buzzing with excitement, as it suggests that there may be a massive reservoir of magma building up beneath the park's surface, just waiting to erupt. Could we be witnessing the beginnings of a cataclysmic event, one that could reshape the landscape and alter the course of history? Or is this just another piece of the puzzle, another fascinating insight into the mysteries of the natural world? Let's explore the potential of a cataclysmic eruption, the impact that it could have on the environment and the communities nearby. Could this be the end of the world as we know it? Located in Yellowstone National Park, Yellowstone's supervolcano spans parts of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho in the United States. But what even is a supervolcano? Supervolcanoes are some of the most powerful forces of nature on the planet. They dwarf even the biggest conventional volcanoes, and their eruptions have global consequences, from ash clouds that block out the sun to climate change that lasts for years. Generally speaking, supervolcanoes are defined as volcanoes that have had at least one eruption of magnitude 8 or higher on the Volcano Explosivity Index, or VEI, which is a measure of the amount of material ejected during an eruption. But not all supervolcanoes are created equal. There are smaller supervolcanoes, like the one in Long Valley, California, and there are larger ones, like the one in Yellowstone National Park. The difference lies in the amount of material that's ejected during an eruption. For example, the Long Valley caldera eruption, about 760,000 years ago, produced about 140 cubic miles of ash and rock. By comparison, the Yellowstone supervolcano eruption, about 640,000 years ago, produced around 2,500 cubic miles of material. That's enough to bury the entire state of California under a layer of ash 1 foot deep. So where does Yellowstone lie on the scale of supervolcanoes? It's one of the largest and most active in the world. In fact, the Yellowstone caldera is so massive that it spans parts of 3 different states: Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. And if it were to erupt today, it would be a catastrophe on a global scale. But how do we know when a supervolcano is about to erupt? What are the signs that we should be looking for? One of the most obvious signs of an impending eruption is seismic activity. As magma begins to move beneath the surface, it can cause the ground to shake and tremble. The seismic events can be small at first, but as the pressure builds, they can become larger and more frequent. Scientists use seismometers to monitor this activity and track changes over time. Another sign is changes in the gas emissions from the volcano. As magma rises to the surface, it can release gases like sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide. These gases can build up in the air, leading to changes in the chemistry of the atmosphere. Scientists use gas sensors to monitor these changes and track any patterns that could indicate an impending eruption. Temperature changes can also be a sign of an impending eruption. As magma rises to the surface, it can heat up the surrounding rock and water. This can cause changes in the temperature of the air and water around the volcano, which scientists can monitor using thermal cameras and other sensors. Scientists are closely monitoring the Yellowstone caldera for signs of activity, and recently, they've found traces of ancient helium, which suggests that the eruption might be imminent. You may think that helium is the playful gas that fills up balloons at birthday parties, but here at Yellowstone, it's a different story. According to the latest report by U.S. Geological Survey scientists, most of Yellowstone's helium is not coming from the volcanic rock that drive hydrothermal activity, but rather from deep within the Earth, where it's been stored for hundreds of millions of years. At Yellowstone National Park, the hydrothermal system is a hotbed for chaos and activity. The scientists there have discovered something extraordinary about the helium levels deep within the Earth. They found that helium-3 is abundant, suggesting a straightforward path from the mantle to the surface. However, helium-4 is not so straightforward. In fact, its journey to the surface is quite complicated. The amount of helium-4 being emitted in Yellowstone is staggering, exceeding anything found elsewhere by several orders of magnitude. The scientists have estimated that most of this helium is hundreds of millions or even billions of years old. This has left them scratching their heads, trying to piece together the story of how it got there. As they dug deeper, they discovered an ancient crust from the Archean Eon, more than 2.5 billion years old. This crust contains uranium and other radioactive materials that have been steadily decaying over the years. Then, about 2 million years ago, chaos struck. The Yellowstone hotspot penetrated these ancient rocks, causing a catastrophic chain reaction. The ancient crust, some of the oldest on the planet, began to release the helium-4 stored within it. This mingled with the helium-3 from the mantle and rose to the surface, creating the chaotic and explosive environment we see today. For Yellowstone enthusiasts, this discovery might be mildly interesting, but for scientists, it's a revelation that could shake the foundations of their research. But the discovery of the helium in Yellowstone has revealed something far more chaotic. The assumptions that scientists have made about helium-4 produced by steady decay of elements found only within the rocks and sediments of the local aquifer are simply not accurate. Helium can suddenly come into a magma rock, turning it into a disaster. The discovery has sent shockwaves through the scientific community, revealing just how little we know about the complex and chaotic systems that govern our world. If you're liking the video so far, make sure to press the subscribe button. The eruption of a supervolcano like Yellowstone would be an apocalyptic event of epic proportions. It would be an eruption unlike anything humanity has ever witnessed, and the consequences would be devastating on a global scale. The eruption would likely begin with a series of earthquakes and tremors as the magma chamber beneath the Yellowstone caldera becomes increasingly pressurized. The ground would heave and convulse as magma rises to the surface, and then, with a deafening roar, the eruption would begin. The initial eruption would send a massive plume of ash and gas into the atmosphere, reaching up to 30 miles high. The ash cloud would spread quickly, blanketing much of the continental United States in a thick layer of ash that would block out the sun and plunge the country into darkness. The ash would also spread to other parts of the world, carried by prevailing winds. The ash would be so thick that it would cause major disruptions to air travel, leading to the cancellation of thousands of flights and the closure of airports. The volcanic ash would also be a major health hazard, as it would be filled with toxic gases such as sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide. These gases would cause respiratory problems that could even be fatal for people who are exposed to high concentrations of them. In addition to the ash cloud, the eruption would also trigger massive pyroclastic flows, fast-moving clouds of hot ash, gas, and rock that would travel at speeds of up to 700 miles per hour. These flows would incinerate everything in their path, including forests, buildings, and even entire towns. The eruption would also trigger massive mud flows and floods as melting snow and ice mix with ash and debris. These floods would be so powerful that they would destroy entire cities and towns. The long-term effects of a Yellowstone eruption would even be more devastating. The ash cloud would cause global temperatures to drop, leading to a volcanic winter that would last for years. This would cause widespread crop failures and famine, leading to social unrest and mass migrations of people. The environmental damage would be equally catastrophic. The ash cloud would pollute rivers and lakes, killing fish and other aquatic life. The eruption would also trigger massive wildfires, further damaging the environment and contributing to the overall destruction. The discovery of helium gas at Yellowstone National Park is a significant development that could potentially provide a warning sign of an impending supervolcano eruption. While the chances of this happening in the near future are low, the possibility cannot be ignored. The scientific community continues to closely monitor the situation at Yellowstone, gathering data and analyzing it to better understand the potential risks. What do you think about this discovery? Do you believe it could lead to an imminent explosion, or is it simply a natural phenomenon? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, and thanks for watching.